because it's, hunting is expensive, very expensive. And it's, you don't want to go bankrupt, hunting, and you don't want to get divorced hunting.
Yeah.
Which
divorces are expensive. You don't want to get one of those.
Yeah. So, right off the bat, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners, who you are, how you got into hunting, and just go from there.
Your background? Yeah. My name is TJ Doherty. I grew up in southeast Wisconsin, big swamp and timber country, not a whole lot of farm ground, but a little bit of mixture in there. And grew up on a family farm there. My family raised show cattle and show pigs, and played a lot of baseball growing up. My dad's family had 7 brothers and a sister, and very much blue collar, hardworking family. And for the most part, everybody hunted. My aunt still will go on deer drives when the family gets together to do some deer drives.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the woods. I was 3 years old when I shot my first sparrow. My mom was taking a shower by myself, and I walked inside and showed it to her in the bathroom. I was 3 years old in a snowstorm with my dad when he shot a buck on the ground in southeast Wisconsin, like December 26th. And that buck is still hanging above our stairway at the home farm. And I just grew up in the woods. The way I grew up, deer hunting was probably different than a bunch. Now times have changed, so it's always changing constantly. But I grew up in a big deer drive culture. Wisconsin in general is very known for their gun hunting, and like if anybody's followed the hunting public, they kind of show that, like the history and the everything that goes into gun season, and it is seriously a holiday. Opening day of gun season, our school would close down. They'd just shut down because there wouldn't be enough kids to keep the classes open.
Right.
And just grew up doing a lot of deer drives. By the time I was 12, 13, 14, I started to get my first bow and started learning and practicing that. And I was 15, and I remember my family only owned about 120 acres, and it was heavy, deep swamp country that was generally just used to run cattle as cattle pasture, makeshift cattle pasture, which it was good deer hunting ground, but it's not bow hunting ground. It's not the best. There's nowhere to put a stand. Right. So because we had such a big family and we did so much hunting, and we got to know a lot of our neighbors really well. And back in those days, you could offer to cut firewood, you could offer to help fix their driveway, you could do about anything and get permission on a lot of different properties. And I would say at one point when I was probably 12, 13, 14, I think we had permission to hunt close to 2,500 acres of arguably some of the best deer hunting ground in southeast Wisconsin. And I wanted to teach myself how to bow hunt. My dad was a full-time construction foreman. He was road construction since the day he graduated high school, and his schedule generally ran into bow season. He was usually gone. And I was fortunate that I had several other uncles that helped influence me and help me hang stands or do whatever I might needed, but I kind of had to teach myself how to bow hunt.
Yeah.
My entire family has ADHD horribly, and sitting in a stand wasn't a great option. Opening day of gun season, everybody would generally have a stand for about the first half hour to an hour, and then the deer drive started. And that was about the extent of the Doherty family sitting in tree stands. So I kind of had to figure it out on the fly and figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
It was great because we had a lot of options, a lot of properties, and I could kind of jump around. And back then I didn't have a clue. I didn't know what wind direction was. I just knew where I saw deer when we were doing deer drives, and I knew where throughout time where I would see deer moving, and I just bounce around and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I had a very successful shotgun and rifle hunting time when I was younger. Shot a lot of really good bucks, shot mountains of does, and learned a lot just about deer in general. Just putting boots on the ground, whether you're cognitively, whether you're taking notes or not, you're going to be learning from that. And I would have no idea how many miles I've walked in my lifetime pushing deer, but it's thousands of miles realistically.
Yeah.
And you just get to figure through that. You know where the deer are, and where the deer like to be. So I learned a lot just by doing that. Kind of moving forward, my family raised, exhibited, and sold show cattle and now show pigs. So we traveled all over the country doing that.
Right.
And I got really interested in that. And I ended up going to school for livestock judging. And I was on school scholarship for that. And that's how I made my way down to Western Illinois. There's two separate universities at a junior college, and then Western Illinois University that are pretty widely known in the livestock industry for being some of the best agriculture schools in the country. So that's how I made my way down here. Now looking back, it's great because I'm in some awesome deer hunting country. So that worked out all right.
Oh yeah.
But I went 4.5 years for school. I did a little extra half a semester, but I ended up walking out with four separate degrees. So I was okay taking that extra semester. And I was able to meet my wife while I was at school. Met a real nice lady at a bar one night, decided to stay.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now.
Awesome.
So
man.
I think that kind of gets me to where I'm at now. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff in between there, but it's a brief description of kind of my background.
So Western Illinois, what counties? Because we were just in Pike and Calhoun County. Late December.
So I would be an hour north of you.
Okay.
Schuyler, McDonough, Hancock, Warren, kind of that whole section there. So like they talk about the Golden Triangle, like Pike, Fulton, kind of that whole area, and I'm pretty much smack dab in the middle of it. Conveniently. So that works out real well.
Yeah, it does. You're definitely in a good area for whitetails. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other good hunting out there as well, but you hear most of it for whitetails out in Illinois.
Yeah. Where I live now is big farm country. Like you get outside of city limits, and for the most part, it's cornfield and soybeans as far as you can see, with some tree lines and like 20-acre patches here and there.
Right.
But there are some great public pieces that have a ton of diversity, a lot more hills and valleys, riverbeds, things like that I grew up hunting. And great turkey hunting. I kind of got out of it. I grew up turkey hunting a lot, but just I'm busy in the spring anyways, but this last year I decided to finally get a tag and got a real nice tom and spent a bunch of time chasing turkeys around, had a blast doing that.
Yeah.
And there's everything, squirrels, rabbits, coyotes, whatever you want to try to hunt. There's plenty of it.
Yeah, we know there's plenty of squirrels out in Illinois. I think that's all basically almost all we saw.
Outnumbered the deer.
Yeah,
outnumbered the deer for sure.
But they were not as big. Well, I've seen some big ones out there. I saw some big squirrels. But
there's patches of them. They run in patches. You'll find big gray squirrel patches, and then you'll find big fox squirrel patches. I don't think they commingle a whole ton, because every time I'm hunting, I either see one or the other. They're not usually running around together a whole lot.
I know the one day, I think it was the first and second day, I saw the same squirrel each day. Like it was like clockwork. It was like if I was scouting squirrels, like I would know where that fucking squirrel lived. Like he went in the tree in front of me. And it was like the same squirrel every time. He went with the wind.
I got a goal coming up here pretty quick. The 2 weeks ago, just getting towards the end of deer season, and I didn't have a whole lot of faith in killing a big buck at that point, but I ended up seeing a white squirrel, and I've told myself I'm going to go back and try to kill that thing and put it up in the wall on the stairway. So I'm going to try to get after that before shed season gets too crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list too. I've got a red squirrel, gray squirrel, fox squirrel, a black squirrel. I need a white one.
Well, I know where there's one at.
Yep. Well, you called dibs on that one, so you're allowed to have that one.
You got to start running trail cameras at like squirrel level.
Squirrel level.
Yeah. Get some going up the tree or something,
Yeah.
like hang it facing down at the bottom of the tree
yeah.
or something.
See, you don't
Here's
hear
some-
anyone
you-
doing that. You don't
No,
hear-
I think maybe I'll try something like that. Get some cool squirrel footage.
Yeah. Yeah. Get some squirrels.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting. And then the
This-
squirrel eats your camera, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're done for.
Put a little acorn flavor on it.
Yeah. I've got an old Browning camera that's the top of half of it's got half chewed off from squirrels or something. It looks like squirrels, but something thought it was hungry and
Yeah.
tried eating it.
I've had bad luck with like raccoons.
Mhm.
Raccoons like climbing over my camera and like they mess them up. Like the one, I think it was a raccoon or bird laying on top of it. Like it was positioned perfectly looking down at like this deer trail. And then something got on top of it and just messed it all up.
No,
Yeah.
I usually have people mess with mine. They turn it or
Mhm.
turn it around and have it face the tree.
Yep.
And then an elk budged it and turned it completely sideways once. And that was about that's my luck with trail cameras so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a debate topic or controversial topic. So for PA here, opening day, since Ethan and I have been growing up, was always the Monday after Thanksgiving
For rifle.
for rifle.
Yeah.
Because as just like Wisconsin, the Orange Army in PA here is very strong.
Oh yeah.
Big tradition type thing, just like Wisconsin. But what is it? 3 or 4 years ago, it went to the Saturday after Thanksgiving now.
Mhm.
So this year, Thanksgiving was on a Thursday.
It's on a Thursday every year.
Okay. Yeah.
The third, third Sunday, third Thursday of every.
Okay.
Thursday,
Yep.
yeah.
But so that Saturday was like the day that everyone would drive up to their camp, get things set up, drink beer, go to local bars, and then go out hunting on Monday. And it was the exact same thing as Wisconsin. We'd usually have off that Monday
For school, yeah.
from school.
And if you didn't, well, no one went.
were sick.
Yeah, we were sick.
Yeah,
Family
yeah.
vacation kind of deal.
Yeah.
So the big debate right now, and it seems to happen every single year since this whole Saturday opener has happened with rifle season. People want the Monday back and they want the Saturday gone, which also in PA, if you don't know, we don't really hunt Sundays. We aren't allowed to hunt Sundays, but that Sunday, so Saturday and Sunday of that weekend, we're allowed to go out that Sunday. So I think that's the last Sunday.
Yeah, we only have
last Sunday.
We have 3 Sundays we're allowed to hunt in Pennsylvania.
As of right now.
As of right now. It's the very last Sunday in the archery season, the Sunday for bear rifle, and then the first Sunday for deer rifle, which is literally the 3 Sundays in a row.
Yep. So the question that we have for you, or what's your thought on is, and Ethan and I will put our thoughts in too. What do you think about that? So would you, if you were living in PA, would you rather have it a Monday opener or would you rather have it a Saturday opener with that Sunday?
Well, that's tough. I would say the general public doesn't work Saturdays. I work Saturdays. So if I'm going to do something big and hunt all weekend, I'm going to have to take a work day off. So I'm going to say, in my personal opinion, I think have the hunt start on Saturday to give those people an opportunity that might normally, what was I trying to get at? That they're not, well, the other majority is off of work on that Saturday.
Right. Yep.
Like I would be the lone guy out, but I would rather have everybody else have the opportunity to not want to miss a work day to be able to hunt that opening Saturday.
Right.
And I suppose you can drink all night then, and you're not missing work the next day. So
right. Yeah. So you kind of, I mean, based off your schedule, you would rather have it on Monday because you would have to take off work on Saturday. Yeah. So so I work Monday through Friday with my job, and I have off Saturday and Sunday. And with a newborn on the way, it's kind of like you for me, that Saturday and Sunday are going to be like ideal for me because it's like I can actually go out when my wife's home, because she works Monday through Friday during the week as well. So like the weekend would be my ideal time to go up to camp on Friday night and hunt all day Saturday, all day Sunday, come home and still be able to work Monday through Friday the next week. I think that was the main reason that the Game Commission changed it to that, because they know that people hunt a lot more during the weekend and they wanted those extra 2 days. Because I mean, if we get rid of those Saturday and Sunday, you lose 2 days, because then the next 2 Sundays you can't hunt, and it ends on a Saturday. So you'd have 2 Saturdays to hunt then instead of 3, and an extra Sunday on the weekend. So you'd have 4 days during the weekend to hunt, and instead of 2 Saturdays. So, I mean,
I think the people that are complaining about it the most, that want to go back to a Monday, are people that don't work. The older generation, that they're like, I want it to, you know, like the good old days. That's all you ever hear.
That's
good old
that's
days.
just how it was.
Yeah,
this is how it used to be, and this is how it needs to go back. It's like, no, like times are different than what it was 30 years ago. Like people work great, like you said, you work on the weekend, you work Saturdays. I work Sunday night. I work third shift. I'm actually going in tonight for overtime, but like I work Sunday night into Friday morning, and then having those weekends to be able to hunt every chance that I can get. I mean, I'm gonna take it, because it's when I can go out, and it's when I can make the most of my time.
Yeah. I mean, I get, so before, when this whole Saturday opener was going to be happening, I could see why people didn't want it. And I was kind of in that same boat. It's like, why do I want that? Because I rather have that tradition of going out on Monday. Like our whole thing when we first started the podcast was keep your tradition. Like traditions also change over the years. So I think that's like the biggest thing, is like you got to adapt to everything. Like it's awesome to go up to camp on Saturday, you know, set things up, or just drink around the fire, you know, talk, hear stories around the fire, go to a local bar, you know, hear stories from those guys, watch some drunk people, like, or have Ethan get like roped into a game of pool with a drunk guy that and he can't eat his cheeseburger sub.
I just wanted to eat my food.
You know, that's cool, you know, to have that happen. But also it's like, we only get so many months to hunt. And like, if you can't fill your tags in archery season, rifle season is the next best thing here. And then if not that, then you have late season. So it's like, but the main thing here is, we, as hunters, we can't be going against each other, because I feel like there's always clashing with that.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I'll be the first one. I'm never gonna look down upon how somebody wants to do something unless it's unethical.
Right.
But as long as somebody's enjoying it, I really don't give two shits what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the only way we're gonna keep this tradition going is being united and working together and talking through things. Because if we get to fighting about everything, then it's just going to turn into a spiral, and eventually it's just not going to be there. And I don't want that to happen for my kids. I want my kids to be involved with it. I want my grandkids to be involved with it. What level that is, that's to be determined. But if we don't portray it in a good way to the general public, it's eventually gonna just fizzle away, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you look at every state, like, I mean, we could go on and on about, you know, all these different legislations that are trying to be passed, or like sneak through under different bills to affect hunting. You know, like you have, especially with the cell cams now, with this whole live thing happening on them, which, you know, that's another thing people can have their own opinion about, all that kind of stuff. But like, you know, you start getting too intrusive with these animals, and people are going to look at that, be like, people outside of hunting will look at that, be like, how can that be fair chase?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that. And then like you have like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, they completely pretty much banned cameras. I mean, that's just one thing. And then there's a whole, like, New Jersey got rid of bear hunting for 2 years and now it's back, and then it's gone again, and then it's back again. It's like,
Oh yeah, that whole mess.
yeah.
The dumpster fire. Well, it's a dumpster fire of a state at this
Well,
point.
Jersey, yeah. Jersey.
Sorry, Jersey, but oh my gosh.
Sometimes you just wish it would like break off and like just float like in the middle of the ocean. Sorry, Jersey.
Getting rid of you.
Yeah, we don't need you anymore. You're the armpit state. I don't know if would that be the armpit state? I don't even know. I'm not good with good that stuff.
What makes California the ass?
Well,
yeah, well.
well, you heard it here first, folks.
Yes.
So, Wisconsin. What's you went from Wisconsin to Illinois? What, like, was there a big difference? Was there like a big learning curve for you?
Yeah, honestly, huge learning curve. So I'll be honest, there was a gap where I didn't hunt very much. Now, when I was in high school, I was actually born with a heart condition, so I couldn't play football.
Yeah.
I hunted all fall. I think my junior and senior year of bow hunting, I missed maybe a handful of days the entire time because I would go hunt and I'd go to the football game afterwards or go do whatever after I got hunting. But that's what I enjoyed doing. And as long as I got my stuff done at the farm, my family didn't care. So moving down to Illinois, going to school, I'll be honest, I did well in school, but I enjoyed it a lot. I had a really good time. I was more worried about chasing girls and finding the next party than I was driving 4 hours home to go deer hunting. I'll just be honest with that.
Right there with you.
I had a hell of a time in school, learned a lot, had a lot of great experiences, didn't do a lot of deer hunting. And then too, an out-of-state tag for a non-resident is like $500. Well, I'm a broke ass college kid digging quarters out of the couch to pay for a case of beer. I'm not spending $500 on a bow tag.
Nope.
So I would go home for gun season. Shot some deer throughout college at home during doing some deer drives and during gun season. But wasn't bow hunting like I had been when I was in high school. And I actually graduated a semester before my wife. I had moved home to Wisconsin. She got her dream job after she graduated, so I moved back down. And obviously, we decided to settle down here. I was working for a farmer in a city half hour away that I met during college and was complaining about trying to have drive home to go deer hunting. And it's a 4-hour drive, so it's not like it's down the road.
Right.
And I remember the old man, he's like, well, why don't you just hunt here? I don't know. I didn't think to ask of it.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a bow tag. And that was my initial permission farm, which is a great property, but it is 100 times different than anything I've ever hunted. It's big farm country as far as you can see. And the main property is really only a 30-acre chunk of woods surrounded by 600 acres of timber. And it's just like this little creek system that runs through the center of this 30. And there's some cattle pasture on one side, this little chunk of timber, and then about a half a mile to the east starts a big block of timber of like 1,000 acres of the only timber within a couple miles.
Yeah.
Well, I got back serious into bow hunting. So there was probably a good 4-year stretch where I just didn't care. I wasn't doing it. But I started to get back into it. And at that point, I didn't have a whole lot of gear. So I was just having to kind of scrounge things up and make things work and started figuring out that property. Again, I still at this point didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just figuring out on the fly, but started to realize on that property, and it took a couple of years, that once the leaves fall and the crops are picked, those deer have no security and they're gone.
Yeah.
Now, up until like the end of October, it's on fire. There's deer moving in and out through there. Great bucks are staying on it. And I had a lot of great opportunities there, but it took me a long time to figure out how to hunt it.
Right.
Because just could never figure it out. I always was thinking, well, I got to wait until November because that's the best time for deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go to check my cameras, and all the bucks had been in the property. And by the time I'd start hunting, there wasn't any security left, and they were gone.
Yeah.
So that's a majority of this area. Now, if you get south of us, you get into a lot more timber, swampish, egg mixtures. But specifically where I live, there's not a whole lot of timber. So it's been a learning curve for myself trying to learn how to hunt that way. Not I was used to hunting swamps and cattails and oak flats and things like that, to where now you just got to sit on a draw and bank on something come through. No,
just wait it out.
Yeah. I could sit this main permission farm.
Right.
If I sat it 30 days in a row, I'd kill an awesome deer. I'd kill a giant, but I would have to sit there 30 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might happen on the second day, or it might happen on the 30th day, but I guarantee I'm going to kill something.
Yeah.
But not everybody has the ability to sit there every single day.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it is a lot different than when I grew up hunting. Now there's a big piece of permission property nearby me, or not permission, public land, state land, that 3 years ago, well, it would have been 4 years ago, I started scouting it, but 3 years ago, I really started hunting it hard. And that is a lot more like what I grew up in.
Okay.
Some big ridge systems, creek bottoms, field edges, hay fields mixed in with it, and then surrounded by egg fields. So that's a really good chunk of property. And now I've been hunting that really hard the last couple of years, using my permission farm as kind of a secondary option, as long as there's a good enough buck to chase and try to chase some of these big deer on the public land. And that's been a little bit easier for me personally to try to figure out, because that's what I grew up running around in. So I can picture it easier and at least have a better idea of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, kind of going back to your roots, kind of. And like, do you find more joy in hunting public, or do you find more joy in hunting the private piece where you feel like you're the only person on that piece?
That is a tough question to answer, because
that's what we're here for.
Oh man, I absolutely hate it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
absolutely hate it. Can we swear? I don't know if
absolutely.
it's
well, yeah,
absolutely.
You heard him earlier.
Hey,
fuck, it is.
Call me out.
I know
it is.
You're gonna have a kid.
My kids are gonna listen
it
to
is
this.
Absolutely terrible.
What'd you say?
It's absolutely terrible. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I love it, but at the same time, it is mind numbing.
Oh yeah.
Just trying to hunt, because in the last 2 years, I run on this piece of public ground. I run about 20 cameras, and I hunt a lot. I hunt a lot more than the average guy by choice in the way I set up my job. So in the fall, I have the flexibility to kind of come and go whenever I want.
Okay.
As long as I'm doing what I need for my customers, as long as I've made enough money to support my family. My employer doesn't make money unless I make money. So if I don't show up for work, they don't owe me anything. So that's the great part about my job. In the fall, I can hunt a lot, and I beat the brakes off this property trying to kill good deer. And I've had 9 cameras stolen in the last 2 years. I've had a stand stolen. This last year, I put a blind up. The year before, I had a blind up and never had an issue. I actually hurt my knee in November. I'll talk about that story later.
Yeah.
But I put a blind up so I could try to hunt kind of closer to parking lot. Never had an issue last year. This year, I put that same blind up in hopes to take my 3-year-old daughter out. And if she knows I'm going hunting, she wants to go every single time. And I got to tell her, no. Like, I was probably too selfish trying to kill a big deer that I didn't just take her out earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But I put up a real nice barnet blind, laid carpet on the floor, had a nice swivel stool with all stuff that I spent my money on. And like somewhere second week in November, somebody walked away with all of it. Now, I know the wind didn't take the 10-pound stool. I know the wind didn't take every single steak. Like,
Yeah.
someone saw it, and it was fairly close to a parking area
Mm-hmm.
on purpose so I could get my daughter out to it,
Mm-hmm.
and some dirtball stole it. And so that part's frustrating. Dealing with other hunters, I can deal with that.
Right.
In terms of just getting to where the deer are, I'm not worried about that. But the shit getting stolen is what's frustrating.
I had so I had I was one piece of public. I had some good buck on camera, so I started finding other scrapes, putting cameras by them. This one scrape I found, it was probably their wintering area because I found them like in January last year, like after hunting season with their racks on still. And then I go back in, I think after, I want to say maybe the end of May to go check it. Well, no, actually, I checked it in May, let it go all summer, went back in September before the season started, like 2 weeks before the season, checked the camera. Camera's gone, but then in my spot is a tree stand, like where that camera was. And I was like, well, I know who took my camera now. This guy who put a tree stand up right here.
Yeah, not the smartest.
No,
not the smartest.
You know, I could have been a real dick. All right. I could have taken this tree stand down. I could have but I was like, if you're that bad that you need to take a trail camera down and then put your stand up in the same spot, like there's go ahead. Like it's
Apparently you need it more than me at this point.
Yeah.
No, I've never had anything stolen, knock
Mhm.
on wood. I'm sure it's gonna happen at some point. I've just had up in my family's cabin, like we've had cameras like turned and then turned back. So I'm assuming they hunted like right in front of our cabin.
Or they just checked the SD card.
Or they checked the SD. Well, no, because it turned and like turned off. And then the next camera, So I was like, oh, interesting. And then they moved it back because we had a couple pictures for like an hour or so facing the wrong way. And then they move it back. But we've had that. And then on a piece of public land down home here, I had like somebody, they took the camera, they didn't take anything, they didn't even turn it off, but they turned it completely around and strapped it to the tree so that the camera was facing the tree. I was like, I guess they didn't like that I put it on that specific tree.
Sabotage.
I was like, what the hell? Like, I was more frustrated the fact that they did that than I'm like you didn't break anything, you didn't steal anything, but like you took the time to inconvenience.
You know what's funny is like I feel like as hunters we always kind of work against each other so much, but then you go to rifle season and everyone wants to work together to put on deer drives. It's like isn't that freaking ironic? Like it's like you work against anyone all bow season, and now you want to work with people during rifle to push.
Yeah, that was the same way in Wisconsin for sure. Everybody's out for themselves during bow season, but as soon as gun seasons open up, it's like, hey, let's just go kill the biggest deer out the swamp who wants to come along. Like they didn't care who killed it at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly I had a buck on camera one time last year and I was like, oh man, I want to get him. And then I became friends with the guy who actually got that buck. Like I didn't know he got the buck till after we became friends. And then I was like, hey Mark, did you ever see this? Did you ever get this buck on camera? He was like, actually, that's the buck I got this past year. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And he brought the shoulder mount over and, it wasn't as big as I thought, to put it that way.
Yeah. So you're like,
I thought it was a lot bigger.
You can have it. It's okay.
It's okay. No, it would have been a really nice buck. It was a really nice buck. Yeah. So how'd your season go this year?
Well, I had some great deer on camera. Now I'm just going to call it my main permission farm, the one that I initially started talking about. The last 2 years I've been doing some food plots and just spray and pray, throw and grow food plots that have turned out amazing in hopes to try to hold deer a little bit later in the season, have some food there once the crops are gone.
Yeah.
Well, historically that farm has held great bucks in the summer through velvet and then through the 1st of November, and then they break off and I'm sure they end up getting killed or they chase doe somewhere else.
Yep.
This year I didn't have a single buck over 2 up until about the 3rd week in October.
Okay.
So, and this year I did invest in a couple of cell cameras, and whether people agree with them or not, that farm is a 35-minute drive. I work 45 to 55 hours a week. I've got 2 kids at home. I've got a wife. Like, I can't be gone all the time. Being able to just put that cell camera on a scrape is priceless to me.
Yeah.
So that property is so small that if something's moving through there, there's a pretty damn good chance it's going to stop at that scrape. So I could keep tabs on everything. Didn't have a good buck there until late October. Ended up getting several opportunities at a buck I call No Show, which it was ironic. Every time I'd go to hunt him, I wouldn't see him, and the next day he'd be on the camera right fucking there where I was. So I started calling him No Show.
Yeah.
And I had 2 opportunities I should have killed him. The first opportunity, I can kind of the draw itself kind of thins out at one point, kind of tapers down.
Okay.
And we must have had a north wind, so I sat on the south side of it. The farmer actually left a couple of rows of corn on that side, so I figured, well, he's probably going to come out and work this scrape. I'm just going to try to play the wind right, because this was still like October 17th maybe, so it's not like they were rutting or doing anything crazy.
Okay.
And I can see through the draw to one of my other food plots, and sure enough, half a dozen does go out into that food plot across from me, and I see this buck come out there and just chase these does in circles, acting like an idiot. And I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. They're not going to make it over to me. And sure enough, by the end of the night, I had 12 different does come within 20 yards of me on both sides. And I'm watching him come through this, and he circled all the way around and came to the edge of it, and he stepped out in that field 5 minutes after shooting light, and didn't have any pins, couldn't do nothing. And I watched him the whole time. He was on the other side of this draw, is only 70 yards maybe.
Yeah.
So I was within 80 yards of him for an hour and a half probably in perfect daylight. And by the time he made it to me, it was too dark, couldn't do nothing. Eventually had to howl and blow the whole field out, because I didn't know how else to get out. There's just deer all over. So that was the first chance. Second chance was probably only 2 or 3 days later, and I went back in there on a morning hunt. No, I guess this would have been like a week later. Went back in on a morning hunt, and this last year I had an accident in November. I didn't end up killing a deer. This would have been 2 seasons ago. Didn't end up killing a deer at all. So I told myself this year, if I have a good shot at a doe on a morning hunt, then I don't have to work the rest of the day. I'm gonna kill her, so I know I've got meat for the rest of the year. So this would have been like November 2nd, maybe. Gorgeous morning, and I had a doe come right down to me, stand underneath my stand, and I smoked her at first light. I didn't see any other deer. I hadn't heard any other deer, so I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna take her. Crushed her, and so I just sat back and relaxed. At this point, deer were running pretty hard. They were moving like crazy. So I figured, I'm just gonna sit. I'm sitting down along this tiny creek channel that's just a major funnel between this 1,000-acre piece of timber and then a whole bunch of CRP to my west. Deer, bucks move through there all the time. So I'm sitting there at this point. It gets to probably like 8:30, and just behind me to the east, it's real thick. To my south, I've got an open kill plot kind of in the woods. To the north is my food plot.
Okay.
And to the east of me, I can hear 2 bucks start having a war, just knocking trees down, blowing, just sounded like the woods was an artillery strike or something was going on. It was nuts. And they were I could tell they were within 60 yards of me, but I just couldn't see them. It's so thick. There's so much honeysuckle. A lot of the leaves weren't really gone by that point either. And I just couldn't see. I could see flashes of deer, but didn't know what they were. Right. They sounded big. So they kind of they finally finished, and it was a good fight. They were fighting for at least 2 or 3 minutes, just going like crazy.
Dang.
And they quit. So a couple minutes went by, and I decided to do some snort wheeze, a little bit of light rattle, and I actually had a decoy out, a makeshift decoy, my budget hunter decoy. The last 3 years, I've used a 3D target with antlers, like your moral or whatever they're going to
I've
be.
thought about doing that because I have one in the backyard here, and I've thought about like in Illinois. I feel like if I would have taken it out there when I saw the one buck in the field with a bunch of doe, I feel like it would 100% brought him in.
The last buck that I killed on the ground on a stool with that decoy 15 yards in front of me on the edge of a hayfield.
I should take.
So I know it works if they're that fired up.
Yeah.
And the way I had it set up, it was right on that bend of a field. So that buck heard me grunt and snort rattle, made it around the bend, and he only had a couple seconds to go, there's a buck, I'm gonna go fuck him up.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was game over. Now, if they watched from across the field, they could probably figure out some detail that this ain't right. But it was a matter of a couple seconds, and that buck was dead.
Now, do you put?
So I can tell you it works.
Do you put like a? I know on my dad used to do like he had that cardboard doe decoy, but he put a real tail on it once in a while. So on yours, it doesn't really matter for a buck. You don't put a real tail on there on it. I think that like okay,
Nothing.
All right.
I use paracord to make a little sling and throw them over my shoulder and hike out wherever I'm going. And then it's just got the little metal stakes to stick in the ground. And it is the most ghetto looking thing ever. But I've called in it's worked several times. Now, whether I killed the deer or not, now I'm going to explain to you. But it's brought deer in the bow range.
Right. Is it the shooter buck? Is it shooter?
Yeah, big shooter.
Yeah.
The 3D big shooter. He's a 140-inch buck, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. That buck's name is Bob. I've named him Bob because he spends quite a bit of time with me in the fall. So I've got Bob set out in front of me, and I've gotten to the point where I just put one stake in and stick his front leg in because it just sits there, no problem. Yeah. And it's dead calm this morning, like maybe 5 mile an hour wind. I've had Bob up for 3 hours. So I do this grunt rattle, and sure enough, I can see this no-show buck swinging right to the food plot, and I'm just catching glimpses of him, and he's within 60 yards, but it's so thick I just can't shoot on my right-hand side. I got to wait for him to get to like 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
He gets all the way to the edge of that food plot, and I've got a tree just kind of blocking me. 45 seconds working his way over there. I get at this year I ran cameras for everything. So I get all my cameras swung around. I get my GoPro and I get everything rocking, and I turn, get all set up, and he's coming in to fight this buck.
Yeah.
I hook my release on, and as he gets to the edge of the field, Bob falls over in front of him.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And I had a lot of weird shit happen this year, but nobody'd ever believe me if it wasn't on video.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you can see on video, I'm ready to draw. He's 3 steps from the opening, not even 30 yards from Bob. He's 25 yards from me, and the fucking decoy falls over in front of him, just tips over. Now this buck completely froze.
Yeah.
Didn't move. Stood there and stared, but I can't shoot. I thought of a million different ways I could have shot, and there's just no way I couldn't have shot.
Yep. And
he stood there for 10 minutes and never moved a muscle, just sat there and was just looking. And eventually it got to the point that my wind swung far enough, he caught it and he was gone. So that was my second encounter with that buck, that no-show buck. And I would have guessed that deer that deer was 165.
Okay.
And I would have guessed that this no-show buck was all of mid 170s. Just gorgeous 10, beautiful.
Oh, and a 10.2.
Picture perfect giant, like a stereotypical Illinois monster, like freak.
Yeah.
So that one stung. That one, yeah, that one really stung. And
I'm sure.
I've had one other hunt out on that farm. So the part of the west side of the farm was turned into some cattle pasture for one of the neighbor kids, one of the neighbor guys that I'm actually buddies with. So I know him pretty well. And I got to let him know every time his fucking cows are out in the cornfield. So I'm making my way to this food plot stand, swinging around the property, and it's like cattle pasture with some big oak trees in it and a little bit of fence row around it. But you can see straight through all of it because it's ate down to the dirt.
Yeah.
And I'm swinging around the north side in a cut bean field, just stubble bean field, and I happen to catch a glance of something. And on the corner of this field, there was just some canary grass, and a buck stood up right behind it, probably 110 yards from me.
Yeah.
And I sat on the ground. I got knelt down. And by the end of it, I realized he had a doe tied up right there. But we had a stare down for 45 minutes. He eventually laid down, and he would check me like every 3 or 4 minutes. And I was in enough of a divot in the field that he could probably only see my shoulders up.
Mm-hmm.
But I obviously wasn't scary enough to just blow out of there. He had a doe tied up there. He was in the farthest downwind section of that property. So he had all the other bucks fought off. There was another buck with him that I eventually bumped out of there. So I knew it.
Okay.
But he finally stood up and he went to work his way around this little patch of trees. And at this point, I thought I had nothing to lose. So I just got up and started not running, but I was scooting to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably made up 60 yards or probably closer to 70 yards. So I'm within about 40 yards of this patch of canary grass.
Right.
And sure enough, a doe stands up that I never saw. I had binos on
So
this
there
buck
was
the
two
entire
doe.
time. No, there was one
okay.
doe behind the canary grass that I didn't know was there until I
Okay.
spooked her, and he was 10 yards past her standing behind a tree, and she took off and he ran with her.
Oh man.
So that was my excitement for the main permission farm for the year.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I think I hunted one or two more times and didn't have a whole lot more luck. And eventually that camera went dry because the same thing that's happened in the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those deer end up moving off. And I tested it last year thinking that maybe it was my pressure. I didn't run a single camera 2021 season. Didn't run a single camera. Only hunted perfect conditions and everything. I might have hunted that farm 3 times.
Yeah.
And the deer still moved off. I ended up putting camera up November 1st or something.
Mm-hmm.
And those deer still moved off by November 10th. So
Wow.
I don't think it's my doing on that property. I just think it's the way it's laid out. I think they go to where there's security and food.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's a great deer hunting farm until about November 5th, and then it peters out.
Yeah.
So that was my excitement for that farm. That was my excitement for Bob. I considered burning him, but I didn't. He's still out behind the house. But I made
Bob
one of
in,
my
like, during like the winter, because I was just thinking about that the other day. I woke up and I was looking at mine shooter, and I was like, I wonder if I should put him in the shed over the winter. But then I'm like, I don't really feel like it.
He's always been in the shed. This year I decided fuck him, and he's just leaning up next to the shed.
You failed me this year, Bob. You failed me.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get a space in the shed anymore.
Oh, not until you get another chance.
I would say doghouse, but he's not in the shed, so
Yeah,
it's in the doghouse.
He's on my shit list for sure. So I had been hunting this big piece of public really hard all year. I ran, like I said, I run. This year I probably ran 17 SD cameras, and I think I had 3 cell cameras out there.
Okay.
And I cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And I usually have a pretty good idea on the beat of the property or where things are at, where they're moving, what's going on.
Mhm.
And I got a pretty good beat on the human pressure too with that.
Yeah.
So I actually chased some awesome deer out there. I was really hunting a particular deer that I've spent the last 3 years trying to kill this one deer.
Okay.
He was alive this year, and never ran into him. Once I realized that he probably wasn't going to work out, I started focusing on some other deer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's good deer on that property. This year was by far the hardest to hunt in terms of pressure, and then eventually just the deer that are on it. I think there got to be so much pressure that 90% of the deer moved off the property.
Yeah.
The last couple years, by the end of first gun season, there wouldn't be anyone on that property, and I'd have the whole place to myself and could just figure it out and get to town.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, there wasn't any deer late season. So that made it a lot harder. I had some good opportunities on that public land. I chased some awesome deer. I let some really good bucks go that I know it's public land. I know a lot of deer get killed, but if somebody doesn't try to let something go, there's never going to be a really good deer,
Right.
like the caliber I'm trying to go after. So I let a lot of nice bucks go that I think could turn into something special. Kept an eye on a couple bucks that got hit. Actually, I know of specifically 2 bucks that both got shot in the shoulder,
Okay.
and I know for sure one of them's going to survive. That I think could be a mega freak, a legit Illinois giant if he makes it. And I contemplated trying to go after him because I thought he got shot like November 3rd maybe, and I still had him on camera January 17th.
Ooh.
So I think he's going to make it.
Yeah.
I considered trying to go after him, but he looks like he just got better and better. So I'm looking forward to chasing that deer.
Yeah.
The initial big deer that I was after, I wish I would have brought the shed home with me. But there's a big buck out there that I've been going after for a couple of years now. And I don't know if he got killed or not. I think if he would have got killed, I would have probably heard.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I know enough people locally and I've met enough guys that, and I'm buddies with the park ranger. Like if I think a deer this size, if it got killed, I would have probably heard through the grapevine, and I never did.
For sure.
And he could have just died on his own too. You never know.
Yeah.
But a lot of good bucks out there.
Mm-hmm.
I hunted really hard by November 15th. I had sat probably, well, I've documented everything. If anybody's curious, it's long and you would have to be really bored to watch all of it. But I kept track of my entire season on my Instagram stories, and you can go there through start to finish every single.
You do that every year? Because I think I was looking at that.
Yeah, I clear off the previous year once the next year starts because there just gets to be way too much.
Yeah, I thought I saw that on there. That I'm gonna go look at that. Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah, see.
by November 15th, I would say I was on sit 45 of the year.
Yeah.
I think. And I hang and hunt 95% of everything. So
Okay.
I'm hiking in, hanging, hunting, tearing down, hiking out.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say I'm in shape to say the least, because I'm not. I'm just a pasty average white guy that I do no physical activity. So once deer season comes, like it's balls to the walls, pedal to the floor. And I had told my wife, just out of shits and giggles, I said I want to lose 15 pounds from October 1st to November 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And by November 15th, I had lost 18 pounds.
Yeah,
So,
I believe that because I know for I don't weigh myself, but I know I lost a lot of weight because my wife keeps saying like, you need to eat more. Like, I'm eating a lot. Like, trust me, I'm eating a lot. But like, just because how much I've walked, Like you lose a lot of weight doing that. A lot.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
because you try and put the calories in when you're eating in the woods and all that kind of stuff, but
all them Snickers and
I don't even eat that stuff anymore. Like it's
No.
just like I try and put decent food inside my body as I'm out in the woods so I don't fall asleep out in the woods, because I know that's when we first started the podcast, that was a big thing. Like I'd always take a nap in the woods. Like, yeah, I still do that, but it's more of a planned thing now.
a plan. Like for
A
these,
plan
I'm gonna
now.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Schedule a nap in the
From
middle.
11:30 to 12:30 is when I'm going to fall asleep.
Oh, that was you. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
that was
my
me.
gosh, what's he hitting
That was
the
me.
cord?
Yeah. So
Nice.
you said you ran some cell cameras. So
Mhm.
that's, obviously
Big topic.
with a family, it makes sense, because that's what I'm going to start doing. I put my first, you could put, say, cell cam. It's one of those spy links that you just plug into a
Yep.
regular camera. I have 13 or 14 standard SD card cameras, and I'm going to get some spy point cell link to plug in there to run them. So it makes sense to do that because you don't have all the time in the world to get out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just time. Like my wife from the beginning
Mhm.
told me, like, if you're gonna do this, it's not gonna affect how much time. No, it eventually affect how much time I spend with my kids. But she said they're not gonna be upset that you're gone. So
Right.
you either figure out how to do it with your kids,
Mhm.
or you figure out how to do it when they're not wanting to be around you.
Yep.
So no, it's worked out great because my 3-year-old, by a year old, she was on a frame pack checking 20 cameras with me.
That's awesome.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to do that when it's 20 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds? No.
Yeah.
But for the most part, pretty much all my summer, my daughter's with me every single time I go out.
Okay.
All velvet season, we do velvet cruises every evening, and we pick up ice cream.
Yeah.
We cruise all the country blocks. She runs all the cameras with me pretty much all summer.
Yeah.
So that part, that's something I wouldn't have really expected. My wife kind of made it pretty clear, like, if you're going to do this and you want to do it the way you want to do it, then you're going to have to figure out how to have your kids be involved with it.
Yep.
No, it's great because she loves it. So
Yeah.
that helps a lot. But having the cell cameras makes a huge difference, because there's areas that it takes some serious shit to get to, and I wouldn't want to carry her through it.
Yep.
I wouldn't. So yeah, having a cell camera or a couple cell cameras that I can get to places that I don't want to get to, makes a huge difference for sure.
Yeah. Because so this episode's about the budget hunting, budgeting our passion kind of deal. So the first question that connects to that is actually comes from one of our followers, our friends who actually went out to Illinois with us for the first time, Tim Lohman. He asked, "What, Ethan? You want to answer the question? Ask the question here."
Yeah. On a price, money, looking, obviously it's the whole point of this. So looking at the money aspect of it, is it better for your wallet to be running the cell cameras, the monthly, whatever the monthly fee is for a cell camera, compared to driving to pull an SD card for a standard non-cell camera?
Yeah.
What's better on the wallet?
I would say, just talking about it factual, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, again, that it's just opinion, but I'm going to say running the cell camera. My opinion would be to run a mixture of both and do it smart. Maybe not as many SDs, but just a sprinkle of cells would be the optimal way to do it, because I do like to be able to spread out. There's a reason why I run 20 SD cameras, so that I can. Now, I'm not checking those cameras every week,
Right.
but I want to be able to at the end of the season go grab that camera and go, okay, this is what was going on the last week of October. This was going on the first week of November. I do think that's important, especially if you're starting to learn a property. Now, if you've hunted the family farm for 20 years,
Yeah.
I put a cell camera out there and you're going to kill the deer when he's on the farm.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that's trying to learn a new property, I think a mixture of both is the ideal option.
Yeah. Would you recommend, because I mean, obviously first year running cell cams for me, would you recommend putting those cell cams over scrapes, over, you know, those hard to reach scrapes that you don't want to go, and you don't want to burn those spots out before the season? Because I think that's what I did this year. There was a community scrape right outside of bedding, and I had a standard SD card there, and I would go in 2-3 months to check it, and he would usually be there at least 1 or 2 times throughout the season, but then come season he was never there. So it's kind of like, that's where I would do it at.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, I think all my cell cameras, no, I take that back. I have 4 cell cameras that I use this year. I've never used them before, but I have 4 that I used. 3 out of the 4 were on community scrapes.
Yeah.
Where I didn't think other people would be at.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I didn't have to go hike through all the bedding area. I didn't have to hike through all that shit to get back there to hunt those and pull the SD card.
Mm-hmm.
I could get out there when I knew there was something in the area.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as easy as like, oh, I got a text, I'm gonna go kill that deer.
Right.
There's a lot more that goes into it, but at least that's where the last 5 years ago, I would have hunted that permission farm the entire season and seen 2 deer after November 10th and just kicked myself. This year I knew I don't have to waste my time. I don't have to go out there. There might be a buck that walks through there. There might be a great buck that walks through there, but it's an hour and 20 minutes of driving. It's a hike into there. I haven't had a good buck on camera for 10 days. I'm gonna hunt some of the bucks closer to home.
Right.
So, yeah, I think community scrapes, if you know where they're at, I think there's a lot of them that are historical. And once you find them, and you might be able to find those community scrapes with an SD camera.
Yeah.
Set a camera up there, leave it all season. You go back and check it and go, holy shit, I've got a whole year's full of bucks tearing the scrape apart.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be one of the first places I put a cell camera for the next year, because you're gonna be able to get a way better inventory, at least to know what's on the farm.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to use the cell camera to pinpoint where the buck's coming out of his bed or where he's going, which trail he's using, then you're going to be shifting around a bunch. If you're just trying to find a good buck to kill on a piece of ground, having it on a community scrape is going to be the best option, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing probably this year. Once I get the other spy points that I'm going to be buying, that's where this community scrape is going to 100% be where I put one of them. Like it has to be. Like it's I went back there after the season and it's still being used. So like being used this late in the season, it's definitely a community scrape. Like doe are hitting it, fawns are hitting it. Like it's, you know, it's one of those that everything's going to hit it night or day. Just a matter of being there at the right time, right. Everything has to be right for that mature buck to come through. So that's what I'm seeing more of the benefit now with cell cams, because of one, growing a family, all that kind of stuff, and then, you know, not being able to go in there all the time to check it.
So I do have a little tip with part of this conversation. So just to save some extra money. Now, in terms of a mid-budget SD camera, I've used a lot of Browning cameras and have never had an issue, and think the quality and reliability is close, probably second to none from what I've used.
Okay.
But those are you're talking the $90 to $120 cameras. You used to be able to buy them for $69. You can't anymore.
Right.
In terms of mid-range camera, great quality. I think those are some of the best ones out there.
Mhm.
Now, there's a lot of people that shit on Tasco cameras.
Yeah.
And I have had 26. Now,
Yeah.
a bunch of those have gotten stolen over time, but I've had 26 Tascos. I've never had a malfunction. I've never had an issue with one. I run, so there's, and I tell everybody, there's a trick to using those Tasco cameras.
Okay.
If you pull that SD card and put it in your tablet or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't run any Tasco camera on picture mode. I run every single one on video mode.
Okay.
I run every single one with a 32 gig on SD card from Walmart that are like $7.
Yep.
I run every single one on Duracell Optimum. So like mid-range battery, not your cheap
Mhm.
battery, but not lithium.
Yep.
And the key to them is how you extract the file off the card. Now, if you take that card out and throw it in your computer, they look blurry. They look like garbage.
Yep.
The videos stutter. They'll like pause and then restart. They look like hammered dog shit. And I've tried it on multiple different computers.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 people are going to say, well, this is just a piece of junk and throw it in the garbage.
Right.
You know, I use the computer to sort the inventory,
Mhm.
put it into folders, figure everything out, because you can get through the videos and figure out what's on it, but half of them aren't going to work on the computer.
Right.
I'll sort them on the computer, and then I use I don't have it down here, but a little dongle thing or whatever that goes into the phone and direct line it onto the phone.
Yeah.
Everything on my cameras, I never take the SD cards out. I take them out. I put them in a tablet that I carry to the woods, and I copy and paste everything onto a flash drive.
Okay.
And I never have to leave the woods with an SD card. I don't have to worry about SD card management.
Mhm.
I can do it while I'm at the base of the tree. I can do it while I'm scouting. I can do it while I'm on my way to a particular property. So I've done that for years now.
Yeah.
And once it's on that flash drive and once I've sorted it, I put it onto the phone. And those videos, they're 10-second videos, are as good or better than any trail camera video you're ever going to find.
Okay.
And
That's one thing I
those,
haven't done yet with the Tascos. So I run, I think I have like 8 Tascos myself, and I always do it on photo mode because I never really like change it to video. I don't know why. I just never did. I just kept it on photo, and like
the files are so small anyways,
Yeah.
that with even a 16 gig card, you're going to have, I tested it this year.
okay.
No, the camera died, but it had 750 10-second videos on a set of
Wow.
just Duracell Optimum
Yeah.
on a 32 gig SD card. No, that SD card wasn't even full.
Yeah.
So people are worried about, well, I'm gonna run out of space.
Right.
They're like, you're never gonna run out of space. And I don't think that. I run every single Tasco camera on video. It doesn't take long to sort through everything because
Right.
you can just click and slide through half the videos instead of watching the whole 10 seconds. You can just swipe through. And that's what I've found to be the best. And that can save you a lot of money. You can buy those Tascos they used to be $28. Now they're $32.
Yep.
Batteries are expensive all the time, but decent batteries. I've used the cheapest SD cards that are $7, and the amount of money you're going to spend on that $120 Browning camera versus at that point I can run 4 or 5 Tascos for that. For one, you're covering just way more ground. I personally haven't had any reliability issues, so I'm not going to change that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use that leftover money to every season. I don't know. Every season I might buy 2 cell cameras, or I'm just going to invest it into something else that's going to help me throughout the season. I don't necessarily always have to be buying cameras,
Right.
But that's a huge way I found to save money because I prefer the Browning cameras. I do, but I don't want to spend $600 on cameras every year.
No, no, my wife will kill me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mine too.
Yeah. So I actually, because I was batteries, obviously, like you said, they're expensive. So I wanted to try new batteries this year. The Amazon brand. I don't know if you ever try them or not, but I actually just ordered some, so I'm going to be testing them out this year. I got to find out where it is on Amazon. But I bought SD cards too, off Amazon, and they're not a name brand, anything like that. So the SD cards are, I don't even know what these are. Inland, the 8 SDHC Extreme Speed 16 gig. I bought a pack of 5 for $26.99, which is actually a really good deal for that. And then the batteries,
Yeah.
I bought 100 pack of AA's and they're alkaline for $29.56 for 100 pack.
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
So I mean, I saw that, I was like, holy crap! Like I gotta do that and just run them purely in trail cameras and just see how it goes this year. You know, if they're shit,
Yeah.
like, I know I'm not gonna buy them again.
Yeah, but at least you know then. For
Right,
sure.
exactly. Because I
Yeah.
mean, you go to Walmart or something like that, and you buy a pack of Energizer or Duracell, and it's like $20 for a pack of 24, and it's like, man, like I have,
$20 for an 8-pack or something.
yeah, I have like,
Yeah, the lithiums. You're like
Oh.
$20-some for an 8-pack.
I think I bought one pack of lithium, and I was like, yep, I'm not doing this anymore.
No,
I'm not.
no. So I think I have two Tasco.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had, like I said, I've had that issue though with like, didn't know, like putting in the SD card into the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would always, because I think I have one at my wife's parents' house that we have just to check, and I always had issues with like trying to get the pictures. But then like I put it on, I had a little adapter that I can put it on my phone. I can view them on my phone, and it was perfect. Like there had no issues at all on my phone. But I do, I like the Wild Game Innovations.
They're good.
I mean, they're what,
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, you can get them
$30 or
for
something like that. I love those.
Yeah.
Because I think the one, normal, I don't know if they were the Duracell or Energy. I don't know what the batteries were, but I had this camera set up. Oh, geez. I mean, it went 8 months plus. I mean, and we're talking over the winter up at the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
I started it. It was maybe October, maybe when I had it up, and we didn't go back up and check it until late May. And the batteries still weren't dead. And I had over 1,000 pictures on it of just stuff throughout those 6+ months. And I was like, well, I like this one. I'm not, I'm going to use this forever.
Yeah.
So what, do you have any budget tips for trail cameras before get into like other things? We have to budget, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always keep an eye on sales.
Yeah.
I think find what you enjoy using and what you like and you have faith in, and just stick with that. There's always new things coming out. There's always new designs, micro cameras. There's things always changing, but find what you like. Watch for sales and watch for deals.
Yeah.
And whether you know you're going to use them or not, if there's some great 3-pack for X amount of dollars, maybe just scoop them up if it's the right price. The Tascos for the cheap cameras, I recommend, from what I've used, my small sample size, and that can save you a lot of money in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
I've used, this year I had 2 Tacticam reveals.
Mm-hmm.
Never had an issue. Both of the cameras that I have out still, I put up in the first week of August, and they're still running today. Again, those were Duracell Optimum batteries, not lithium or anything, and have had good luck with that. And again, those are kind of an entry level cell camera. They're not crazy expensive. I think they're $120.
Yep.
Are they worth 4 Tascos? I'm going to say it depends on your situation. For me, on that permission farm, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to waste a morning to go out to check the cameras. So it kind of depends on your situation, but those are a couple suggestions I might have.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're doing on public, if you're hanging those Tascos on public or any cell camera or camera in general on public, you want to buy almost like the cheapest thing you can.
Well,
It could be stolen.
yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons I started running all those Tascos. I had one of my favorite Browning cameras get stolen, and I had a wild game camera get stolen. I had a Moultrie camera get the SD card stolen, and I finally was like, "Fuck this!" You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to be losing hundreds of dollars worth of cameras every season. So
Yep.
this would have been 3 years ago. I started kind of gathering up some of those Tascos, and I've gotten to the point now where I've got a couple of the Brownings left, but everything else is Tascos. If they get stolen, you know, money's money. I'm pissed, but it's not like I'm out a $120 camera and a $20 SD card and $20 with batteries. Like I'm out $45 or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, depends on where you're at. That's going to be a big part of it.
Yep. Yeah, I would run cell cameras, like more expensive cell cameras on like that private piece. Like I would 100% do that. But then on public, I think I would run the cheaper stuff, like the spy points. I bought my spy point cell link off the Sportsman's Guide for like $39.99, and then you have every month you get 100 free pictures. And I was like, why the heck not? Like, I mean, I haven't gotten any damn pictures yet.
Oh, he was so pissed. As soon as I get here tonight, he's like, I didn't have a single picture yet.
Yeah, it's been a week.
It's been a week. I'm so mad.
But you know, but that's the thing. You have any cell camera, you know, it runs on service. So like if you have 25% service, you might not get the pictures that if you go up there and check it, you might have pictures on there. So I mean, that's the risk you run with running a spy point, because it's not the best service out there.
Yeah. You don't know until you try it though. That's part of it.
I could put one up at the cabin. I was really thinking about like this idea just popped in my head, like down on the power line there. No one goes there.
Yep.
I would have no issue putting a cell camera or a cell link, right? Cell link, a cell link down there, because now I have Verizon.
Yep.
And Verizon has service up there, up at the cabin.
Yeah.
So I was like, wouldn't hurt to try. And it helps me because I don't want to walk down that side of the mountain and then come back up every single time. It's not very far. It's not hard. It's just a pain in the ass to do. It's like, ah, shit, I got to go down. And then I got to walk back up. Yep. It's just like, I don't want to do that every time.
Oh, yeah. So Ethan and I actually, we don't run the most expensive sticks, you know, all that kind of stuff to hang tree stands. Ethan bought a, what was it? What kind of tree stand did you buy from Walmart?
The hang, it was just a real tree. It's like it's just all real tree. I don't even know what it is. It's like $70. It's about 70 freaking pounds.
Yeah.
It's so heavy. Hang on. But yeah, and then the steps were literally, well, you actually just let me borrow yours, so I didn't spend a penny on them.
Yeah. But the hawk sticks. We can start with them. What is your thought on those, on running cheaper sticks that maybe are on the heavier side?
Yeah, I'm personally, like, if I'm beginning the season heavy, I might be 185 pounds.
Okay.
So my example is not the best example. I ran hawk heliums for an entire season. Well, a year and a half, really hard, like 65, 70 hunts. Never had an issue.
Yeah.
So and they work, like, there's people that bitch and complain about everything, but for what they are and for what they cost relative to the rest of the market, I think they're a great option for a large majority of people.
Yeah.
The way they stack, the way they fold up, they're not heavy, but they're not the lightest.
Right. Yep.
They're a great mid-range mobile climbing stick. No, I'm not 250. I'm not 300 pounds. I haven't had a stick bend. I haven't had any step break. So I'm not the best question for that, but from my experience, my small sample size, for what they are, they work phenomenal for me.
Yeah.
I got no complaints about them.
Now my thought is this year, I got into saddle hunting this year. So I
Yep.
ran the Hawk Heliums, had the Trophy Line platform, the EDP platform, had their saddle, all that kind of good shit. And they worked for me. You know, they worked well for the saddle setup. You're not carrying a stand and all that kind of good stuff. But I had this thought, because everyone's using aiders now, you know,
Yeah.
so I could run. I only get up maybe 12 feet, 12, 14 feet. I don't really feel the need to get up any higher than that.
Yep.
That's me personally. Like, other people feel the need to get up 20, 35 feet, which I go for it. Like,
More
that's
power to you.
more power
Yeah.
to you. Do that.
Okay.
I'd be
Yeah.
freaking out the whole time. Like, nope, get me down.
Yeah, 35 feet's a little high for some people.
Yeah.
Even for me, I would be freaking out. But so put aiders on 2 of those sticks, and I can get up to where I'm going. And
Yeah,
then you
for
have
sure.
less weight, and you're getting the same height.
Yeah. Yep. I had great success with the Hawk Heliums.
Mhm.
Now, budgets and priorities change throughout our life,
Right.
and how serious you want to take something, and just how much time and effort you're going to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
I hunt, and not to sound arrogant or anything, but I hunt my ass off. I do.
Yeah.
And so part of kind of the budget hunter, or what I want to talk about, is keeping a budget in mind. Now that can flex some, but have an idea of what you're willing to spend in, let's say, an annual year, and having ideas of what you want to buy. It's not like, hey, on Sunday I decided I want to hunt with a saddle, and then Monday morning you buy a saddle. It's
Yeah.
no, you spend 4 or 5 months waiting for the right deal to save a couple $100 to buy the right saddle. So what I'm getting to is this last off season, over 10 months, I put together a Frankenstein setup of a couple different things, and that's what I ran the entire year. What I bought, I averaged 40% off of retail, which, for what the products they are, is extremely hard to do. But it wasn't like hey, I need to get this, and I bought it that day.
Right.
I knew what I had in mind and what I was trying to accomplish, and had the time to wait for the right deal to come along, following Facebook groups, classifieds, buy sell trades, garage sales. Like, you can accumulate whatever level of you want to be at for
Right.
a fraction of the cost. Honestly, buying used, there's a lot of products that don't get the shit beat out of them, that have a lifetime worth of hunt still in them, that people just didn't like something, or they just didn't feel like it, or got too old to use it, that are still perfectly fine. And that's a big thing. Some people just think, the newest, greatest, best thing, you got to go out and buy it.
Yep.
Which is fine. I don't have an issue with somebody doing that. But if you want to try to do it on a budget, there's a lot of ways to save a lot of money, and do it different ways. So to get what you were saying, yeah, the Hawk sticks are great. This last off season, I spent about 10 months, and I put together a whole new mobile setup for myself. I had previously been running a Loggy Bayou cheap seat,
Huh.
like a
Okay, yeah.
1980s, with those Hawk Heliums, and the Heliums would kind of slide into the bars,
Mhm.
so they almost like accidentally stacked with the stand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was no frame pack or anything like that. I just used like heavy paracord for straps, and I used that for 2 years. But this last year, I decided to work on my mobile setup, and I invested a lot of money for myself, but I saved a shitload of money doing it the way I did. And I was able to run 3 sticks. Again, I don't like to hunt real high, but I ran 3 sticks, one full length Lone Wolf custom gear stick with a 2-step backwoods mobile gear aider.
Okay.
And there was probably a third of my hunts that's all I used. I could get to damn near 10 feet with 1 stick, as high as I can reach. It's a 3-step stick in itself. I've got an extra 2 steps underneath it.
Mhm.
And I can get to 9-10 feet on that one stick.
Yep.
So there's, especially early season, there's a lot of the season I was hunting with one stick. I had one Lone Wolf Custom Gear full length stick with just a cable layer on it.
Mhm.
And then I had one 17-inch double step Lone Wolf Custom Gear with a cable layer. So and the system all came with me every single time I went out. I didn't leave one piece in the truck. I didn't leave one piece at home. It was all coming in with me in and out every time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have to limit myself depending on what I found.
Yep.
But I could get to, if I wanted to, I could get to 22 feet probably. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
But if I stretched, I could get to 22 feet pretty easy with 3
5'9" gang,
sticks.
man.
So, and that, yeah, like you said, the aiders I think are huge. I think it's something a lot of people miss out on, because you can take one whole stick away, put cable aiders, and get to the same height and be lighter. It seems like a no-brainer to myself. Less cumbersome, less stuff to deal with, less weight. Makes sense to me.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't need to get crazy high. I'm the same as you.
Yeah, it's, I never really thought of aiders before until like after this season. Like I was, because at my cabin, like it was a far walk in, and carry 4 of those sticks, and like they're not they're not the lightest, but they're also not the heaviest sticks out in the market.
Yeah.
And
They work.
If you're climbing mountains that are 2,200 feet in elevation, I mean
miles.
anything you're carrying gets heavy at that point. Like no matter how light it is, it
doesn't matter.
No matter how far you walk, it's going to get heavy. But yeah, I mean, and then like you said, like the Facebook Marketplace, that kind of stuff. Like I've got a lot of things off Facebook Marketplace. Like Ethan and I got stands. Like I got a Hawk XL stand.
Yeah, Mega, or I got the same thing. It's a, the big XL.
Yeah.
For what those are awesome in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
big,
like
comfy seat.
Aren't they like 12 pounds? I want to say, like I got the one it's the one that's 12 pounds off Facebook Marketplace.
You have a footrest?
No, it doesn't. It's not that
Yeah,
one.
I bought one of the big XLs with sticks with it.
Yeah.
A guy sold the XL stand with big seat cushion. Now this was my gun stand that I set up, and I left it where I thought I would gun hunt.
Right.
And 4 sticks and the stand, and I bought the whole setup from him for like $80.
Yep.
And I think that setup, if you were going to go buy it, was 3 times that, maybe. I don't know, a lot.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't hike that stand every single time I was hunting, but it was a great tool to have in my shed. And I'm not afraid to just, my wife fucking hates it, but I do hoard some things. If I see a good deal on something, I'm going to buy it. And if I use it next year, awesome. If I don't, well, then I'll just sell it or whatever.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
She hates me on that. But if I see a good deal on something, I'm just going to buy it and figure out how to use it.
Yeah. Heavy stands. If you find heavy stands on Facebook Marketplace, you can get them cheap, and then you can, like you said, use it for rifle season.
Yeah.
Like I have 2 stands that I already know where one's going for next year, because it's going to be my, quick after work when my wife gets off her 8-hour shift. She's watching my baby girl, and then I'll be able to go out for like 2 hours, 10 minutes away, and just hop in the stand quick and have a good hunt by a field. Bam. And then the other one probably go up to where my cabin's at for my rifle season hunt. So it's like, you gotta make do with what you have, and all.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with the $35 real tree stands at Walmart, really. Now, if you're hunting big mature bucks deep in the woods, those stands are going to creak. They're going to make noise.
Yep.
But if you're gun hunting, if you're hunting some doe somewhere, like there's how many hundreds of thousands of deer have been killed out on one of those $35 tree stands from Walmart. They're not $35 anymore, but a lot. They work just fine for what they are too. It just, again, it kind of just depends on your levels. It depends on how hard you want to do it. Do you want to hike in a mile to go hunt, or do you want, like after work want to go hunt for 2 hours on the side of the field. Like,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah. So I know we're getting up here in time. I think it's 10 o'clock. I don't even know what time it is. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's pretty late for you guys.
Yeah, it's late. You're only an hour behind us.
Yeah.
We know that now because we went to Illinois.
Yeah, that we know.
So we have had some listener questions. You obviously answered Tim's already. So Ethan, I think we have like 2, 3 more, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, the one you kind of answered a little bit. JR Moon 6. He said the essentials to have in a mobile backpack.
Yeah, on a budget.
On a budget, we kind of
On a budget.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, if the property allows it. Oh, my wife just cleaned the counter, otherwise it'd be sitting here. A what is it? Wild Edge tree saw, Outdoor Edge.
Yeah.
One of the Outdoor Edge, like 4-inch bone saw tree saws.
Mhm.
If the property allows it. Now, my public ground, I can't use that. But when I hunt my permission farms, that stays on my belt all the time because it weighs nothing. It's super sharp. You can quietly cut shooting lanes as long as there's a little bit of wind cover and make the hunt so much better. Trying to shoot through holes, or I've zip tied branches, I've done all that. It can work, but if you can just cut that perfect shooting lane right around you, it's going to make your life a lot easier when it gets to be that time that everybody's adrenaline's a million miles an hour and your brain's blacking out. Like, if you know you got a clear lane to shoot through right there, it's going to be way easier.
Oh yeah.
I hunt really light. I don't do all day sits. I'll just be upfront about that. Don't do it. I go home and have lunch with my wife and kids. I go to work during the day on weekdays, so I don't pack light heavy. I got it sitting here. I started using this later in the season. This is all I hunt with. This is the Outdoor Vision turkey vest.
Okay.
So this is a chest rig that my binos go in there. My camera goes in there. All of my gutting knife, my tags are always in this back pocket. So it forces me to take my binos with me every time I go out.
Yeah.
My tags are in there. My knife, everything's right in there. And I don't have to worry about carrying a bag out with me. I don't have to worry about if I leave it in the truck. I don't have to worry about if it's strapped to the bottom of the stand. This is going with me every single time I step in the woods.
That's smart. Yeah.
Wind checker, binos, my camera. I do have chargeable hand warmer.
Yeah.
I think for the $20 or whatever it costs, you can charge your phone. If it's getting low, you can warm your hands. $20 or $25, whatever that is. I think those are worth it.
Oh yeah.
I got a drag rope. I've been a big Vortex guy forever.
Yeah.
But this year I bought a Hawk, HAWKE.
Okay.
Rangefinder, because somebody actually stole my 15-year-old Simmons rangefinder at work. So I ended up buying this and had great luck with this. This rangefinder was like $90 maybe.
Yeah.
So not crazy expensive, but not like the $30 junk.
Right.
But that's the big things. Honestly, I hunt really light. I may take a granola bar.
Right.
For the first time ever in my life, I took a mug of coffee with me this year. That was pretty cool. But for gun season, I had fit right in my vest. So I was like, well, fuck, I'll just take it out in the woods with me, I guess. Yeah. And but in general, I'm pretty light.
Yeah.
I always have diapers because I've got young kids, or not diapers, but wipes, wet wipes. So I keep a Ziploc with wet wipes. They stay wet damn near the whole season as long as you zip it up.
Right.
Wiping your hands off in the snow and in the creek is fine, but having those little baby wipes to wipe off is pretty nice too. But other than that, pretty basic, nothing too crazy.
Okay.
Wind checker, I think is huge. Binoculars or binos, I think are great. Even if you're bow hunting, I think just being able to depict or decipher what something is from distance is huge. I used a monocular for years,
Yeah.
which worked fine, but I couldn't see half the shit I was looking at. I could tell if maybe it was a buck or a doe,
Yeah.
but having some binoculars is important, I think, now from using it for a while. But other than that, nothing too crazy.
Okay. Yeah. Treat yourself with the coffee too. Treat yourself.
Always. We like the coffee. Can't complain about that one bit. I gotta start. I should probably do that once. No, because I don't want to do that. Because if I bring coffee in the woods, I'd instantly have to drop a deuce, and I'm not trying to do that
Yeah.
every single
Yeah.
time I go.
That morning, I actually went to the gas station after I checked in at the park, took my shit, and then went out into the woods. So
Yep.
I was good for the rest of the morning.
Yeah, there's a few times where it's like, I don't want to get down on the tree. I didn't
Yep.
even make it to the tree yet. I don't want to.
I'm in the middle of putting my tree stand up.
Yeah.
I'm 2 sticks up.
Yeah, I'm only like
Yep.
halfway up the tree. And I was like, nope, I'm going back down. I'm doing this. I don't care. This is from Clear Hot Bow Hunt. Clear Hot? You said clear?
Clear_hot_bow
Oh,
hunter. Yeah.
Bow Hunter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
What is, because I think your opinion might change after this last season, because of Bob messing up here, but
Yeah.
what is the best foam target that's not super expensive?
For that target, I think my mother and father-in-law actually bought it for Christmas for me 4 years ago, and it's still fine.
Yeah.
The core could probably be replaced, but I don't shoot just that target religiously. I've got a decent bag target and a decent broadhead target
Mhm.
that I try to shoot all three of them, so that way I don't just blow out Bob.
Yeah.
But whatever that is, the big buck shooter, those used to be dirt cheap too. I think when they bought that, it was $79, and you can't even buy the core now for $79. I don't think.
I think
Um,
my parents got it for me. What would that be? A year and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, you haven't had it that long.
Yeah, a year and a half. And it was, I want to say it was like 109.
yeah,
I think it was that much. And I think now I went and looked at it, it's like $130 for it. I'm
yeah.
like, holy crap. Like,
But again, talking about the buy sell trade stuff,
yeah.
keep an eye on for something like that. You might not necessarily need it in February,
Right.
but if some guy's like, hey, I'm dumping mine,
Mm-hmm.
it needs a core, okay, scoop it up for nothing.
Yep.
Buy the insert, and then you got a brand new target. So I'm a big believer in buy sell trade. I'm a cheap ass. I'm a tight ass. I eat off brand Lunchables every day. I'm so cheap. So if I can save $1, no, don't get screwed by somebody with a fake account. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ways to save money out there buying stuff used.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way with trying to buy. Like, my wife always like, why are you trying to buy the cheapest stuff? I'm like, I just want to buy the cheapest. Like, I just want to find the best deal possible. Like, it's not like,
Yeah, I'm all about deals. Yeah.
Like that's, and you talk about February. February, I feel, is like the best time to buy hunting gear. Like, you go
Right now,
there's
a lot of stuff dumping right now. Like, I keep an eye on everything, and there's really good gear. Now, I've gotten to be a fan of Lone Wolf custom gear, and people can have opinions any way they want, but
Yeah.
I've been able to extensively hunt with that stuff this past season, and I liked it. So I keep an eye on a lot of it. And there's a lot of things that you can find for 50% off retail right now that were hunted 5 times or hunted gun season. And honestly, they're especially, like, I would call the premium USA made product stuff, not just Lone Wolf, but there's a lot of that stuff. You could buy it, and if you don't like it, you post it back up on Marketplace, and somebody else is going to buy it for what you got in it, and you're not out anything.
Yep.
Now, it might be a little different than those brand new Hawk sticks or the the real tree stand from Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
But there are places that I do spend more money because it's important to me if it involves my life being altered.
Yeah.
For example, climbing sticks, a stand. I'm okay spending money on the saddle, the safety harness, those kind of like. I do believe that it's okay to spend some extra money on that kind of equipment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, when it comes to your safety, tree stand harnesses, like I would spend the extra money on them, saddles, the tethers, the all the lineman's rope, all that kind of stuff that gets you up in the tree. And is the stuff like even if you buy one of those Walmart or like a cheaper tree stand, make sure you at least have good straps. Check your straps to make sure that they're safe.
Yeah.
Like that's a
I
big
would recommend everybody buy this is my opinion, everybody buy an aftermarket harness.
Yeah.
I grew up never wearing a harness, didn't even know what one was.
Same.
I know they got sent in the boxes from the tree stand company, but you would pull it out of the box and be like, what is this fucking spider web? And it would just go in the garbage. And that's just how it was. You just climbed up the screw-in steps and up the pine branches or whatever to get into the stand.
Now you pull it out, it's like, what is this, a fucking sex swing?
Yeah, like seriously, the stuff that gets sent in
Oh,
those boxes, I couldn't try to put one on if I wanted to. I don't think right
Trash.
now.
It's trash.
Spend the $45 or the $50 because those are things that'll last a while too.
Yeah.
Most of them are dated in terms of when they say they're good through, but I'm sure most of them are 2 to 3 years. If you're hunting more than 2 or 3 sits a year, just spend the money because you know you're going to be safe then. If something weird happens, a bolt breaks, a cable breaks, you slip your foot, it's icy, at least you know you're not going to hit the ground. There's accidents that happen all the time.
Yeah.
One of our good family friends fell out of a tree growing up. Some of my friends in school, their dad, and he eventually was okay, but it was some scary shit. And he was a serious deer hunter. And I think that was kind of a reality check, even when I was like 17, like, holy crap, like this guy was a god to me, and he fell out of a tree and got hurt pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Spend the money. Don't use, if it's all you have, use what's in the box, but shop around and buy a nice new harness so you know you're going to be safe if there ever is an accident.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have to use one because I have the saddle. So it's a lot.
Yep.
That's a benefit, right? I mean, but even like I thought about using the saddle just in my tree stand. Just like
that's what I did all year. I used again this year I invested some money, and I'm never going to tell my wife what I spent this year, but I was smart about all of it.
Yeah.
I bought a TX5 minimalist during like a Father's Day sale or something. So I've never bought anything full price if that's going to be a question. Everything you buy is going to be on sale. But I bought that new, and I used it as a hybrid setup all year.
Yeah.
I ran a normal stand that I could just pull the tether out or let it loose a little bit. I could turn around, I could sit down, I could face the tree. That was, if you're thinking about doing it, try it. It's not going to hurt anything. It gives you a lot more versatility. I would tell people, if you're on the fence about using a saddle, you can use it as a harness still, a waist harness.
Yeah.
It's going to catch you if you fall.
Yep.
And hunt out of your normal stand that you like. And when you want to try it, just turn around, raise it up, get it all set up, and see what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that could be something that leads then to a platform. And it's not like you don't have to go spend $1,000 on the climbing sticks, the platform, and the saddle all at once.
Nope.
Do everything in pieces. You could use that $35 Walmart stand with that saddle to see if you like it.
Yeah.
I think it all comes in steps and stages.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. Ethan, you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
I think we're good for now.
Okay.
For now, I'm sure I'll have something as I'm driving to work tonight. I'll be like, I should ask this.
TJ, where can people follow along with you and ask you questions if they have any questions about budget hunting or, just want to chat with you?
Yeah. So I do most everything in terms of social media. I'll be honest, my Facebook is pretty family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've just kept it that way. My Instagram though, the Budget Hunter on Instagram that's all it's about. Now there's some of my daughter with me hunting, or there's some of our vacation, but for the most part, it's going to all be hunting. And part of it, I don't want the page to just reflect me. I'm very active on my stories, and I try to be really interactive with the community that I'm trying to build. Always asking questions, trying to get feedback, and using other people's feedback to help others. And I should have prefaced this at the beginning of the conversation, but I am not the best deer hunter in the world. I might be. I can tell you I hunt hard and I can get in front of deer, but I'm not very good at killing them. At least the last 2 years. So my page is one, trying to be the median between the novice and the expert.
Yep.
Because I think there's not a lot of people out there that are doing that. You either have the guy that knows nothing or the guy that knows everything. I want to try to be the guy in the middle that's showing you like, hey, this is what the wind does. This is what you should try to do, and try to fill that void in the middle, because it's hard to get into hunting. If I ask one of the guys at work if you want to get hunting, he's going to go, fuck no, I have no idea how any of that works.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be that guy in the middle. My Instagram is probably the best way to reach me. I'm very active on that. Always trying to share deals that I can find. Spark conversations between the group. Their YouTube is an idea in the future. I ran a camera system this whole year, kind of for shits and giggles, but ideally I would love to put that together and start doing some stuff. I would love to start putting some content out there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I've got 2 little kids at home. I've got a wonderful wife that is already very patient with me.
Yeah.
And I work full time, so it's hard to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's something that I would like to do in the future, to try to be that mediary.
Yeah.
Between the gap of the novice and the expert.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I'm glad we were able to make it work and have you on here. Really,
Yeah, me too.
It was fun talking to you and learning some stuff about how you budget your hunting and all that kind of stuff, and answering some questions from the listeners. Once again, we really appreciate you coming on here, dude.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Good luck next year. I'm going to try doing some coyote hunting for fun. I'm going to try to kill that white squirrel, and then shed season is going to be kicking off here pretty quick, and I'll be putting a lot of miles on the ground, and have a 30-pound daughter on my back. So I'm probably going to lose some more weight.
Hey,
nothing wrong with that.
Get that muscle on,
Yeah.
I want to see that white squirrel.
Yeah.
I'll be waiting for it.
I'm going to go for it. I really haven't shared that with anybody other than like my wife and some of the guys at work. And they're like, you can't do it. But I know where it is. And I checked with the game warden. He said, yeah, it's fair game. So I'm going to make that a mission here in the next week or 2 to try to track that thing down.
Oh man. Yeah. Get on those tracks. I want you to actually stalk up on it. Like have a GoPro on.
Yeah. Oh, I'll run that GoPro on my chest.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey,
perfect.
I can't wait to see it.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I might never see it again. Who knows?
You might not, but it's a story, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of your night and good luck next season.
Appreciate it. You too, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.